Exciting episode today with Mr. Seth, the Fix It Dad. And this has been a journey to try to get this set up, don't you think, man?
Sure.
So, first of all, glad that you're here. We've been waiting for this for a couple weeks now, and we've been in touch for the last couple of days, like more intently to try to get this going. So, tell me kind of what's your start in plumbing, and if you want to introduce your platform as well, and where you have the most following at.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Byron. I appreciate it, man. So I'm the Fix It Dad. My name is Seth. I'm from Eastern North Carolina. I've been officially plumbing now for about a year. Been doing plumbing before that. So I'll kind of start a little bit from basically high school. So I'm almost 29. Out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps. And after I got out of the Marine Corps, I kind of felt like a lot of, friends that I went to high school with, they're graduating college, they're getting into their own career field, and here I was not really sure what to do. Um, so both of my parents were in law enforcement, so I thought, hey, I'll go join in there, following their footsteps. Worked for the sheriff's office here in the county for a little under 3 years, and just decided that it wasn't for me. It's a great line of work, I respect it, but once I had my kid, that kind of opened my eyes up a little bit. So I got into apartment maintenance. I'd kind of worked with my hands a little bit before, especially in the military, but I knew that, working with my hands was definitely something I like to do. So, like I said, I got into apartment maintenance. I was just a technician for a little bit. And then before I knew it, I was a maintenance supervisor. And I was just kind of really blessed in that aspect. But I was doing a lot of stuff that I didn't like to do, stuff that wasn't plumbing, sheetrocking, painting, stuff like that. So I really wanted to focus in on plumbing. And basically, I just started applying places. I put on a nice shirt, walked into a couple of office buildings, and just simply asked, "Are you hiring?" Um, and I finally got a call one day from one of those companies, and the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah. So tell me, okay. So 'cause we talked about this before that I have a lot of people that kind of talk to me and be like, I'm sure you said that you have some people as well that talk to
All
you.
the time.
I'm trying to get an apprenticeship going and all that. What's your best advice? Well, first of all, how long did it take you kind of when you started asking to when you got it, kind of realistically how it was for you, as well as some advice that you can have for them to get that
Correct.
going?
So I know every state is different, and that's why when I do have followers that ask me that, normally my first question is, "Hey man, what state are you in?"
Same.
Because a lot of that can be solved. I'm not trying to, ruffle any feathers, but a lot of those questions can be solved by a simple Google search if you know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I would recommend only looking on .gov sites because I know, for instance, in my state, the plumbing and heating licensing board, it's all under like plumbing, heating, and fire sprinkler system. So that's how North Carolina is here. So like we don't have a traditional apprenticeship, journeyman, master plumber.
Hmm.
Like I kind of mentioned to you here before, it's basically you're either licensed or you're not. So like myself, the gentleman that I work for, he's a licensed master plumber in the state of North Carolina, and so I'm just a licensed or just a technician under his license. So that being said, in my state, or any state that's like that, I would highly recommend just calling, applying. Applied to some of the bigger, national companies that are out there, Mr. Rooter, Roto-Rooter, some of those places,
Yeah.
just to kind of get an idea of the interview process. And then I kind of narrowed it down to two or three different companies, and I just started calling whoever my point of contact was in that company. I called them every Monday
Hmm.
until they were either like, leave me alone, or this one guy called me in one day and offered me a job. So I
Yeah.
guess persistence is also a big thing.
Yeah.
But
And
in short, it took me about 7 months. Sorry, to answer your
yeah, no, no,
question,
no. It's
it
fine.
was
Yeah.
about 7 months of just constant applying, calling, and all that.
Yeah, and that's important because a lot of people they want it to happen, one day to the other. And I think any job these days, if it's not something that you can get quickly in, like fast food or retail or something, it's gonna take a while to kind of get that going. Uh, for example, my girlfriend, she's working at a medical spa,
Hmm.
and she kind of got lucky that it was a little bit quicker process. But either way, it was like constant and persistency, and that's what I tell people because right now, if you're trying to get a job in those winter months, it's a lot tougher than if it's the summer months when they're a lot busier. They have that volume to go with. So, did you end up getting a job with a bigger company, or is it kind of smaller or medium? How would you describe it?
So I like to tell people that we're just big enough to be dangerous, but still small enough to have that mom and pop feel.
Okay.
So, um, so I'll kind of describe my company. So basically, there's four guys on the service side, and then we have 25 to 30 guys on the new construction side. And so there is a little bit of crossover. Sometimes the service guys will do new construction. Sometimes the new construction guys will do help out with the service. But
Mhm.
for the most part, we kind of stick to our own section, and we've probably got between all of those guys, maybe rough estimate, 15 vans or trucks amongst all those guys. So I mean, a pretty. I don't know if you'd call that small for your area. That may be tiny. I don't know, but for my area, it's a pretty medium sized company. So
No, that sounds really solid, by the way, and it sounds really nice to have those different sectors and have people specialize in different ways, but also
right,
being able to kind of maneuver to different kind of, I guess, fields is the right
right.
way to say it. Because here in Texas, so we have the apprenticeship, we have a tradesman, a journeyman, and a master.
Hmm.
About a 10-year
Okay.
process if you do things
Uh,
like straight. So
yeah.
it's 4,000 hours to go from apprentice to tradesman, and then it's 8,000 hours total for journeyman, and then it's like a
Wow.
4-year wait for your masters. So
Right. So like in my case, so the day that I started working at my company now, I start earning towards my 4,000 hours, which is what I need to test out for my master plumbing license.
oh wow,
So you can do it a lot quicker here,
yeah,
but I mean, for the most part, like that kind of middle journeyman, you know,
doesn't really
step is
do
missing. So for the most part, like where I work, you have guys that are kind of like me, just starting out looking to earn their license to go out on their own one day.
it.
Or you have guys that are just like, hey, I found this one plumber. I really like him. I have no intention on being licensed by myself. And, that's kind of where you get that line drawn in the sand of you have guys who are like, oh, I'm licensed. Yeah, man, you've been licensed for 6 months. That guy over there has been plumbing for 25 years.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pick him over you. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
kind in my state, it does get a little bit, territorial like that. Which if you are licensed, I totally respect that. It took a lot to get that, but definitely experience
yeah.
goes a long way for sure. So
Oh yeah, for sure. And here in Texas, we have an actual. Do you guys have an actual board that overlooks plumbing in your area, or is it kind of
yes,
just like a general? Okay.
yeah. So it's heating, plumbing, and the fire sprinkler system
Okay.
as
So
well.
what you
So
mentioned
it's all
earlier.
under. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, here in Texas we have just for plumbing. We have a Texas State board for plumbing. So they have a whole board members and stuff like that from different companies.
Right.
It's really interesting, and I don't know if I would be interested in being a part of the board, in the future, just cuz I
Yeah.
don't know, getting into that. I don't know. I'm not going to talk more about it. But
It's a different side for sure.
but
Yeah.
so what I want to ask you was, what part are you in your company? Are you in the residential service area, or kind of more of the commercial, or do you bounce around a lot?
So we don't split up service into commercial or residential. It's
Mhm.
just service altogether. So in that service side, I mean, I'm sure you've seen my content. We do anything from residential to commercial to bathroom remodels. Um, done a little bit on the new construction side, but I myself don't get into that as much.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
you're
we
missing
we
one.
split it up amongst our four guys. So
Yeah, you're missing one over there. You said residential, commercial. You remember the video you did not too long ago where you were working at an interesting spot? Has to
let
do
me.
with has to do with cardboard. You did like one video about it. The factory?
Um, oh yeah,
Dude,
okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So
that was so interesting.
yeah, so that. Oh yeah, let me just go into a little tangent on that job. So that job there, I really don't know how we landed that job, to be honest. So that was such a cool thing because it's like the like the fake the wood that as a patio furniture like you see a lot.
Mm.
They had a chiller that was 4 times the size of the one that they had. The chiller that they had, the feed size on it was inch and a quarter, which is pretty good size copper line. The new chiller took 4-inch PVC Schedule 80, so
Oh,
it was definitely quite an experience plumbing that thing in. I do have more videos coming on that job, but
oh,
that was a tough one to do for sure.
yeah, because I saw that and I was like, dude, that's so. I've never heard. Okay, because I mean, I've heard of it, right? But like seeing it actually happen in person, I feel
Right.
like that's the beauty of social media, or like mostly TikTok at this point. Is just seeing the different experiences that people go through in different states and areas. You see these
Right.
new constructions, people working in casinos, people working in
Mhm.
hotels. That you're like, I mean, I'm here at a one-story house, and just know that there's so much opportunity out there in plumbing, and that's something to really keep in mind because like I said, people think that it's kind of it's an ugly job, and it can be, but it can also be very the experience that you can get and kind of the stuff that you kind of go through in your day to day, or even in those rare occasions when you have something random just pop up and you're like, well, let's go ahead and do this. Do you feel like those challenges, like, do you like those challenges of something new, a new environment?
For sure. Yeah, that's one thing that I like about plumbing and why I kind of got into plumbing as opposed to any of the other trades,
Mm,
because I just felt like, there's, yeah, you can learn HVAC and learn electrical, and I'm sure, HVAC residential versus industrial HVAC is completely different ball game. I get that, but it didn't attract me as much as the plumbing. So I do like that about plumbing. Like, I can literally, if I wanted to, if I had my own business, I could do plumbing, but literally never clean a drain.
yeah.
Or if that's all I want to do, I can clean drains, do pipelining, do descales,
Hmm.
do trenchless repair. You know what I mean? I can literally never even change a flapper or a fill valve on a toilet if I
Yeah.
hate that. You know what I mean? There's so many just different little niches you can find, and then just
Mhm.
water heaters. There's a guy I follow on TikTok. He was doing residential plumbing, and one day he decided, hey, I'm only going to do water heaters. And that's
Wow.
all he does, tankless and tank.
Oh wow, yeah, that's great. Then we have companies here as well that they're just called like, let's say Houston water heaters or like Houston
Yeah.
drain cleaning. That's all that they
Mhm.
specialize in, and it's great. They find one thing and they can do really good stuff from it, and that's totally fine. We mostly just do residential. We've done some commercial repair and replacements, but
Mhm.
I'm not too fond of commercial, dude. Personally, man, because you deal with a lot of stuff. Because I do the actual business stuff as well, like kind of the paperwork
Right.
and all that. And it's all, especially being just me and my dad at the moment, doing that isn't the best. But there's some companies that they all they do is commercial. That's all that they do.
Mhm.
And one thing I did want to ask you was with your background in when you went to the military, did you go like kind of more of the front lines, or did you try to specialize in something? Because I know that people sometimes go to be like doctors or be like mechanics.
Right.
What was your kind of thinking
So,
with that?
one thing about the Marine Corps that I always tell people is that it was the best, worst decision I ever made. So I would definitely do it all over again.
Mhm.
I loved my job, so I was a tanker on the M1A1 Abrams tank, like the main battle tank.
Okay.
My job did not have a civilian application. I
Mm.
don't know about Texas, but here in North Carolina, there's not too many tanks driving down the road. Um, so yeah, there's no like civilian version of my job that I had in the military. If I could go back and do it over again, I probably would get into something like there's pipe fitting and welding jobs in the Marine Corps. So maybe looking at that, but that's all, Monday morning quarterbacking going. And if I
Mhm.
could do it all over again. So,
Right.
but,
Man, yeah, I couldn't imagine doing that. Like, I have a lot of respect because like people don't realize how much goes into like all the military stuff. So many different applications. There's people doing like three different things at once. They're doing school, and then they're on
right.
school one semester. The next semester they're not there because they're doing stuff for the country, and that's always very very interesting to me. And a lot of respect because I'm sure that there's a lot of discipline that has to go into your mind. Do you feel like any of that discipline kind of played into you as a worker now transitioning to plumbing?
So it definitely affected my work ethic and I guess having two parents as cops, I kind of grew up a certain
Already,
way anyway.
yeah.
So that definitely like sharpened me up for sure. I'd say some things that I brought to plumbing from the military would definitely be um, communication skills, a little bit of directness. Sometimes you have to be
All right.
direct with these customers when they're like, we like to provide options to our customers. I've heard some people do like an ABC method,
Mhm.
or, say at least two, like, hey, you either rebuild it or you replace it.
Mhm.
And sometimes customers are just like, well, what would you do? And da da da. And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to just be like, look, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, this is what you need. If this were my house, this is what you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that, as well as organization. Organization is a big thing, and I'm going to figure that out a lot more as I get into my own
Yeah.
van this
Dang.
week, which is super exciting.
This one coming up.
Um,
So like starting.
yep, yep.
Oh.
So this week coming up, yeah, man, I'm getting my own van, and so the guy that I ride with, he's super organized as well,
Mm-hmm.
and it really shows on the jobs when there's seamless transition between if I need something out of the van or if he needs something out of the van.
Mm-hmm.
As his helper, I know where everything is, I know where everything gets stocked, I know where everything's put. And so just having that ability to get what you need while you're on the job and have it there already and not have to search 20, 30 minutes for that one little fitting or whatever, it's
Yeah.
definitely key. So
Do you guys have like a warehouse where you guys have a lot of tools and you guys kind of stock the truck up, or how does kind of that process
yeah,
go?
so basically what we have at our shop, we have a stock room in the shop, and basically on Mondays I'll go in there as his helper and kind of go through his truck and say, we're running light on this, or sometimes I'll kind of do it based off the job. Like I know if I ran out of half-inch PEX 90s on the last job, then I know I need to get,
All right.
this amount more to keep on the truck. So, but yeah, typically every Monday, looking at the stock room, looking at the stock on the truck, and just making sure everything's squared away.
That's awesome, dude. Uh,
Yeah.
I told my dad always that I really wanted to get a shop going as well, and one of my dad dreams was actually having a plumbing supply. Because he was like, you know what,
Nice.
I want a plumbing supply because I know that I can, do it the right way and stuff like that. We haven't been given the opportunity yet, but I'm sure, maybe in the future, you don't know what God has in plans for
For
you,
sure.
and stuff like that. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens. We'll stay tuned, with all that. But I want to transition towards TikTok. So tell me,
Yeah.
Fix It Dad, where did it come from? And you mentioned a little bit, but go ahead and dive into that story.
Yeah. So, like I said, at the time, I was doing apartment maintenance and mainly posting plumbing videos. A little bit of HVAC videos, but those may or may not have gotten deleted off the page ever since I started full time in plumbing. Um, but basically, what I was doing is just making little simple, rebuilding a toilet, swapping a tub spout, just little stuff like
Mhm.
that, and just putting it out there, just so that I could get feedback. And one guy that was really kind of instrumental in me starting my TikTok, I'm going to shout him out. That's cool. But
Yeah.
Plum Hero, he's actually from not too far away from me, about an hour and a half away from me.
Mhm.
And I started following him, commenting on his stuff, asked him for advice a few times, and told him that I was like, hey, man, I'm thinking about, maybe making videos. I want to get into plumbing, but I'm not a plumber, so I don't want to make videos. And then people be like, you don't know what you're doing,
Yeah.
but I wanted to make the videos so that I could get those comments to be like, hey man, you should do
Mhm.
this or try it this way. And so that's why I started it. The name, as far as the name goes, I didn't want to claim anything plumbing related because I wasn't even working for a plumbing company at the time.
Mhm.
And I was a new father and I like to fix stuff. So that's how I got the name, the Fix It Dad.
Dude, I think it's a
Um,
great name personally because it's just one of those things that just like really leaves a mark, like Plum Hero, or
yeah,
Plumber's Plunger is another guy. I was mentioning the guy
exactly.
with the orange kind of logo.
Yep.
That's the one I
Yeah.
remembered it from the top of my head.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so that's really interesting that you have that. And like I said, when I started doing TikTok, my thing was just show the customers what type of work we do, try to get more customers. And then I started realizing, okay, well, a lot of my viewers are young men and women wanting to get into the trade. I have to kind of
Right.
transition the way I do things to be more teaching wise. And whenever you first started, did you actually get those kind of plumbers that were like, nah, you're doing things wrong, this and that, or were they mostly helpful?
So they were mostly helpful, and now I'm kind of looking, I won't say baiting, maybe I do bait sometimes, but sometimes I'll do stuff in the, like put Teflon on backwards, or put a PVC nut on, something crazy, like just to get those
See,
comments of
yeah,
like, back in my day we didn't.
yeah,
But yeah, fortunately for me, in my early stages, there was a lot of like, not even just comments, but more so DMs of guys just like
mhm,
pulling me to the side, so to speak, and being like, "Hey, man, I'm sure you're just a young
mhm.
guy, but maybe try to do this, or maybe." And I actually had some guys, some older guys that were like, "I like that you did this. I've never even thought of
Wow,
that." You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's cool to kind of draw from different generations as well.
And I think it maybe benefited you a bit that you didn't claim any plumbing in your name in the start because, if you
Right.
put plumber, it kind of labels you as a professional from the start. But
Right.
there's a whole spectrum of where you are as far as plumber goes. But I definitely
Mhm.
think that maybe benefited you in the beginning, which I'm glad that you had that experience because there's some people, man, they post like a couple videos and I look at the comments and they're just getting like bombarded and bombarded by like
Yeah.
guys.
Oh yeah.
And these poor
Yeah,
guys are trying
I
to
wish I
comment.
had those sometimes. Some more haters in the comments would be nice, but
Yeah,
for
now that you know
engagement
a little bit more.
purposes,
Yeah,
yeah.
right now, like, I'm doing that series about the, tools every plumber should use, and for some reason, I don't know if they don't watch the video all the way, but they're like, "Don't listen to this guy, you don't have to buy Milwaukee." I'm like, "I know, I said that in the video, like, it's
Right.
not that." Or, like, when I called it channel locks, and the reason why I call them channel locks is because I call them pliers. That's what I personally call them, but then a lot of the older people, they
Hmm.
call them channel locks. And so my thinking was like, okay, well, if they're gonna be apprentices, they're gonna be working with someone else, so might as well start getting that slang introduced to them. And then I got a whole bunch of like feedback about that, and I was like, guys, it's just you pliers. I got a guy that said, "This guy's a hack. Don't listen to him." And then I commented back, I was like, "Getting called a hack for recommending pliers to plumbers is crazy." Like,
Like what? Yeah.
well, like,
People, some
it's
people
definitely
have nothing better to do, man. Like,
yeah. I don't
and
see
then
it
you go.
wrong.
The best part is you go click on their profile and guess how many plumbing videos they have?
Zero.
None.
Yeah.
So we can't critique their work.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm definitely, I think tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm gonna be ending getting up those the Nipix
Hmm.
pliers. I'm gonna get the three set. I don't have any. I've never had some. I just in that video I learned about them, so I started doing research and I heard some great stuff. I don't know if you have some.
Yeah, I say Knipex. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I say Knipex. But yeah, I have several pairs of Knipex. I got introduced to those actually by a mechanic. He had
Mm.
just a standard 10-inch, Cobras,
Mhm.
and he was like, "Yeah, I love these things, man," and just kind of bought one, and then before you know it, you have 5 or 6 pairs in your tool bag.
They're not
But
cheap, dude.
yeah, no, they're not cheap, but I will say the only time I've really had them slip is because I didn't adjust them properly to whatever I was tightening. Like
Okay.
the videos on YouTube of the guys putting them on a pipe and then standing on them or doing pull-ups with them is real. I mean, they really don't slip.
I haven't even seen I gotta do some more research. I might even do some videos like that, just
Yeah,
for
yeah, that'd be
fun.
awesome. And
So
look, nothing wrong with a good old pair of blue handle channel locks or any
yeah,
other kind of pliers out there. Again, I'm
promoting
not going to
the
say
fix
that you
it.
have to buy one pair either. And that's the other thing about, when I do post a tool or a product or anything on
Mhm.
TikTok, I don't have TikTok shop or anything like that. But if I personally post something, it's something that I use and something that I have used for enough time to say, hey, this is good enough for me to post it, and maybe other people will enjoy using it too.
Right.
Um,
Do you think in the future you would do a TikTok shop or anything like that? Is that something that interests you? If you wanna talk
I'll
about
put it like this.
it.
I applied for the program and got accepted into the TikTok shop.
Mhm.
However, and I'm sure maybe part of this might be played on TikTok, so I don't want it to get it, stir
I won't
anything
play the
up, but
part. They gotta come to YouTube to watch it.
exactly. Yeah. So I think, and I have some good TikTok buddies that are on the TikTok shop.
Mhm.
Me personally, I feel like a lot of the TikTok shop items
Mhm.
are not up to par with what I could easily go down to the big box store and buy.
Mm, mhm.
And if they are the same product, for instance, like I know the Nipix pliers are on there. I often feel like they're a little bit more expensive than what I could buy them for myself. Which I understand a little bit of that goes to the creator. I
Yeah.
understand that fully, but it's not something that I want to deal with myself. You know what I
I
mean?
see what you
So,
mean, and I have the same experience because me, like I said, if I'm gonna like you said, sorry, if I'm gonna recommend something, it's because I've used it. It's because I know it's something that's good. It's something that I truly and honestly believe it can make your life a lot easier. And some of the quality, I mean, it's cheaper products. I mean, that's why people buy from TikTok Shop. It's kind of sketchy to
right.
buy from a social media,
Yes.
page in the beginning, but I'm sure there's some great stuff out there. I just haven't found it yet because I'm in it as well. I got accepted to be in it as well, but I
Mhm.
just haven't really found anything that's worth it. Or if there is something, it's one of those things that you kind of need instantly. It's not one of those that like you want to wait however
Right.
long to get it.
Yeah.
Like the only I guess the only product that I've seen that's really been worth it for me is that compression ring puller.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, because I've used it many times and the exact same pretty much thing. I'm sure it's a different brand or whatever, but it's been very good. But there's people that say so like levels and stuff like that. I'm like,
Mhm.
plumbers recommending levels, and I'm like, personally, I don't think I'd ever use a laser level in the field. I don't know if you
Um,
have, but I don't.
yeah, we actually do. So I don't have one myself, but the guy that I ride with, he had a Bosch like two plane level with the
Mhm,
plum dot. The plum dot is nice to have. But he recently got the M12 Milwaukee laser with the three plane, and we
mhm,
used it at that big chiller install
mm.
to make sure that everything was straight and plumb. So,
I guess new
but
construction.
it's not something that you need. Yeah,
Yeah. I guess new construction, I could see the benefits of it because, have to make sure everything's going or the fall is correct and stuff like that.
right,
With the work that I do, residential, I mean, to be honest, you're not really going to be using
right.
that.
And
But
as far as the ferrule puller that you're talking about, I 9 out of 10 times I can get the ferrule off with a pair of channel locks. So if you do buy the Nipix, then you can just just
yeah,
pull them off with that.
so I'm definitely excited about that. And I'm actually really, really considering because I'm doing a giveaway. I don't know if you saw that. I'm trying to do a
Yeah.
giveaway here very soon. I'll be announcing that. But I'm very considering doing a Nipix giveaway just because I know that a lot of the people, because I asked, where are you guys at in the plumbing kind of
Mhm.
career path? And a lot of them said apprentice. So I know, like, okay, you might not have as much funds, you might not this. Not saying
Right.
that I'm super rich or anything like that, but like I
Not yet,
know
man. Not yet.
that, but I know that um, it's something that's gonna help them along the way, because I also thought like a Milwaukee tool, but I was like, to be honest, a tool you use it once a week, once every 2 weeks, maybe
Right.
depending on what you're doing. But I know some pliers, some good pliers, is
Mhm.
something that you're gonna use every single day. But I'm
Yeah.
still taking suggestions. There's people that say like a pro press. I'm like, dude, I'm not buying a $2,000 pro press
Nah,
for
man.
someone, bro.
Maybe one day. But yeah, a good and I know you've got that series going about like your plumbing
Mhm.
essentials and stuff. Just kind of overall statement about that I would say is to the apprentices out there, um I kind of take this approach when it comes to buying my tools. Do I need to have all Knipex everything, all Milwaukee everything,
Mhm.
all whatever your brand is everything? No.
Right
Do
on.
I have a lot of Milwaukee stuff and Knipex stuff? Yes.
Mhm.
However, you don't need it. You know what I mean? I certainly have a lot of Harbor Freight tools that do just as well as some of my name brand
Yeah.
stuff. So but there are some things, and you'll realize what those things are in your specific path. That it's like, okay, I'm grabbing these every day, multiple times a day. And you'll figure out, and for the most part across plumbing, it's going to be the same things. It's going to be a good tape measure, a good torpedo level, a good pair channel or two pair channel locks,
Mhm.
and just stuff like that that I would personally recommend just going ahead and spending a little bit more bread on it and
Mhm.
just get a nicer set of pliers that you like in your hand the way they feel. If they happen to be Knipex, great. If they're channel locks, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's really
Yeah.
what makes you happy and productive in your job at the end of the day. That's all that
Yeah.
matters.
Because I'll say there's some bigger brands out there. There's some tools that they're not really worth it. They cost more than like let's go with pliers because pliers gets the easiest that we can kind of talk
Right.
about. There's some pliers that they cost, like maybe $75, maybe in the middle between, some channel locks and some Nippics. Uh,
Hmm.
and they're like, okay, well, let me do the middle one. And it's probably just as much, this quality is probably the same as the lower one. Not that it's bad, but it's just, uh, a lot of people they don't do the research. I feel like people just got to do the research and maybe go to the store and feel it in your hands, see how it feels like because you don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on tools. Like you said, there's many tools, especially in the beginning. I mean, you got to
Hmm.
realize like there's people that they want to invest a lot of money, but you don't even know what you're gonna do yet. You don't even know what kind of is your main area. You might do new construction, and there's things that you don't really need. You might do. Uh, just water heaters, like we mentioned. You might get in a
Hmm.
company that just does water heaters. I mean, there's just certain things that you just gotta kind of wait it out and see. I mean, there's the basics, and then there's things that you kind of gotta go kind of more in depth
Right.
on. But as your career goes, that's kind of where you make those adjustments. And
Correct.
I did want to ask you though. Oh no, let's go ahead and reveal because we did talk about him earlier. Big reveal, guys. Possibly this week we're gonna have a episode with Plum Hero. I got in touch with him, and he's a great guy. Honestly, I really and truly have enjoyed my conversations with him, and he's a very humble person, and I really admire him for that because there's a lot of people that eventually they get to that little point to where they don't really start, kind of engaging with their
Right.
audience, and
Yeah.
he has done a great job. And I'm glad to hear that he also helped you out in the beginning as well, and kind of getting all that implemented. Because if you guys don't know, he has a ton of following, and he's definitely earned every last bit of it and everything good that's going to him.
So
Um,
shout out to Odie,
mm,
but he made it into the ambassador program this year, and then I think he's got a little something going on with Milwaukee Tool as well. He's got a lot of Milwaukee tools lately.
I think so.
Um,
I think he's also, or I think he maybe just gone to trade shows with like Rigid and stuff like that,
Maybe that's it. Yeah,
dabbling a little bit in that area.
yeah. That's one thing that's going to be my goal for not this year, but next year.
Okay.
Is I want to try to go to like either World of Concrete or like the Wet Show, and because it's just me, like I want to just get out there a little bit more. Kind of, this is the other side of why I did this too, is like the networking, meeting guys
Oh
like
yeah.
yourself, and just like we can put our heads together, and you never know what we could come up with. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
for
So
sure.
just
With those trade shows, is it kind of just sign up online and you kind of pay your things, or how does it?
Yeah,
I'm
so
interested
like
in
for
that.
example, with the wet show this year, I actually looked at going, like was almost done signing up, and then my the lady from the office texted me the actual dates of my backflow certification class for this year, and it's during the wet show. So I was like, well, I won't be able to go to that, but education is more important. So I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah.
actually be doing the backflow class.
When
But
when
yeah,
are
you
you
just
taking
go
the back to
online and
classes?
sign up for whatever trade show it is, and then they'll send you a pass. Most of them, yeah,
Oh, okay, perfect. When are you
yeah.
doing the backflow preventer courses?
So it's the first week into the second week of February, I believe.
Oh, okay, okay. Because
Yeah,
I'm thinking about doing that as well here in Texas. But
yeah,
I'll probably end up doing it in May because I'll be graduating May 9th is my graduation date.
it's
So
awesome.
I was like, I have to be there for like it's a week long classes. I don't know if that's how long it's
Yeah,
for you guys.
yeah, it's like 7 days here. Yeah,
Yeah. And so I was like, well, I can't miss school. I already paid a ton of money for that. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I definitely want to do that because it lets us test those backflow preventers,
yeah.
and a lot of plumbers for some reason here they don't really get that done. I don't know if that's
See, I kind of feel the same way about around here. I mean, there's a number of guys obviously that do it, but it's one of those things. You either like to do it or you don't. You know what I mean? It's the guys that do it, they do it, but they might not really love it. And the guys that don't do it won't even touch them at all. Even if they're certified, they're like, nah, I don't mess with those anymore. So
what made
definitely
you want to
looking
do that.
forward to that. Say it again.
What made you want to get into the backflow part of it? Just more job or?
Yeah, so really like I like to learn and I like to kind of open my opportunities up. And
Mhm.
so I saw that course and as well as the Navian. I'm not sure if you're
Yeah,
familiar with the Navian
water heaters.
certification
Yeah.
course. Yep. So I did that about 2 weeks ago, and that was just simply like taking it to my boss and being like, "Here's an education opportunity. Can I go?" And it's a yes. So I mean, he's not going to look at me and be like, "I don't want you to get smarter." You
Yeah,
know what I mean? So
correct.
it's kind of a no brainer. If a guy that works for you wants to go out and get more education, I definitely wouldn't stop him. So
Yeah, 'cause it's not cheap, man. It's not cheap getting those
right,
courses. I think for
yeah,
me, the backflow is like $1,000
right,
just a
yeah.
course plus
And
the
then I mean, if you're getting a decent digital tester, you're looking in that $800 to $1,200 mark for the tester as well. So
Mhm.
it is a little bit of a investment, but you know, how money goes and everything, you make it back. So
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. So yesterday, at the job that I was at, they have which I actually was able to sell the job, thankfully, is
nice.
a ton of work. So they have some fittings that were on backwards, and it was causing obviously issues in the drain line. And the lady, she just wants her bathroom, right?
Mhm.
And then when I talk to a customer, I don't tell them that it's like expensive or like all that. Obviously, I say, it's kind of an investment. You do have to kind of get under there and stuff like that because they also wanted to do their they were considering a water softener and they were considering redoing their bathroom. And the water softener, I think they're gonna leave it for later in the year, next year, because they were asking me about prices, and I was like, well, it's an investment. It is gonna cost in the beginning. And then the lady's like, you keep saying investment, but you just mean expensive. And I was like, well, an investment typically isn't cheap.
Right.
But,
No,
yeah.
I do like that word track, man. And that's one thing that I'm kind of big on is like I'm very process oriented. So like watching the way that the other guys at my company handle just showing even everything from showing up to a job, like how they park the van, what they do when they walk up to the house. Are you taking your shoes off? Are you putting booties on?
Hmm.
We have some guys that will take their shoes off in any home,
Wow.
and that's not me. You know what I mean? Like I'm very, I don't want to say judgmental, but if I look at your house and I'm like, it depends on the job too.
Yeah.
Like if I'm doing a water heater, I don't care if you live in a mansion. I'm not taking my boots off. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's too much of a risk. Like I break a toe and it'll
Oh
be a
yeah,
whole mess. But
for sure.
I try to be flexible with people and wear booties if they want me to. But just the whole process of from start to finish on a job, seeing that from each guy and then kind of taking certain little things from them. But one thing, this is just like a little total side quest that I have. But if you look up word tracks for car salesmen, not that as plumbers we're salesmen, but you
Yeah.
kind of have to be.
Oh yeah.
We're definitely not on like that. I already mentioned the company name earlier, but that
Yeah.
national
Yeah.
company that we all know about where they're like, here's my iPad and here's option A, B, and C.
Hmm.
We're not that at all, but we do like to provide options. Sometimes you don't need to replace the toilet, you just need to rebuild it. But just kind of walking through that and then how you lay that out to the customer. Definitely go online and look up some of those car salesman word tracks because as soon as the customer hits you with that objection, you can literally just like they give you stuff to say right back that's like you said, different ways to say stuff instead of being like, oh, it's really expensive or really cheap. Though, you can use
Yeah.
it's an investment. This is a more affordable option. Just ways that you can try to say stuff differently so that, they're already might be hit in the face by the bill, but it might feel a little bit better because you
Yeah.
presented it a nice way. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another cool little thing to look at too.
That's right on because a lot of the times, like you said, sometimes you need to be direct with what they need to be done. I mean, a water
Mhm.
heater, if it's leaking from the sidewall, it's leaking all over. I'm not going to tell
Right.
them, hey, let's go ahead and like change out the elements. I mean, like,
Yeah,
it makes
exactly.
no sense. I got to tell
Yeah.
them, okay, you got to replace the water heater. How are you going to say it to where you can get that job going? Because at the end of the day, you're a plumber. You make money whenever money comes in, you can't make money from nothing. So being able to talk to a customer and that communication is super key to being a plumber, especially well, mostly if you're being in the residential area of it, right? But
Right.
one thing that I learned in college, so I took a lot of sales courses as well, and we
Mhm.
learned the spin selling method. I'm not
Okay.
sure if you've heard of that one.
I think I'm familiar with it. But
Let
yeah,
me see.
tell me a little bit about it, and I'll uh, I'll see
So
if
pretty
I've heard
much
it.
the way that we learn to do a sale is first of all, it needs to benefit you and it needs to benefit the customer. It needs to be a
Mm-hmm.
mutual benefit of both. Either whether you get money or whatever out of it, and then they need their problem fixed. And a lot of times, people get this misconception that salesmen are these like scammers and these bad
Right.
people. I'm sure there's a good amount out there, right? But there's also people that actually genuinely care. So what SPIN stands for is situation, problem, implement, implication,
Implementation.
no, implication, and
Oh,
needs payoff.
implication.
Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty much the way I have to describe it is that it's like a fishing net. You throw the net and it's like, all the way out. But whenever you
Hmm.
start pulling it up, it starts kind of funneling down to pick
Yeah.
up that last piece. And I personally like using this a lot because it lets you see what you're getting into and how to get to that end goal of whether it's a sale or making sure the customer is taken care of, whatever the case may be. Because I know there's like Jordan Belfort that he does the straight
Hmm.
line method, which is
Right.
great as well. But at the end of the day, he worked in in the stock
Right.
market, and this was more of
Yeah.
like business wise. So you start off with the situation, what's going on, what's the situation that we have going on, what's the actual problem. Okay, so this is the situation. You have a leak. The actual problem is this
Hmm.
implication. What's the implications to you? Is your water bill too high? Is
Right.
your foundation kind of moving a bit? Are the
Hmm.
floors wet? And then need payoff. So getting this taken care of, this is what you're gonna get in return. And I like it a lot because it's just a communication thing.
Hmm.
And there's a book on it as well that I can pass on to you as well once this is finished, and I'll probably leave it down in the description below. But yeah, it's kind of getting into the sales portion of it. But it's really interesting stuff, dude. I love sales just because it gives you the opportunity to maybe they don't want that product, but how convincing are you, or much are you able to
Right.
communicate? It's a challenge, and I love challenges.
It is. I like that too. And it's not so much, I mean, granted, the world goes around by money. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. But it's not so much of like, I look at it as a sales pitch.
Hmm.
I look at it as like the farthest thing away from that.
Hmm.
It's it's how good at can I get at me making my recommendation for the customer, which is
Right.
basically a sales pitch, but I
Yeah.
want it to feel the least amount of sales pitchy as possible is what I'm getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel the exact same way. And then with my dad, because my dad didn't really know the business part of plumbing. And so whenever growing up, he would make me read all these books. Like the amount of books that I read when I was like freaking 7 years old, that I had
Nice.
like no reason reading. I
Rich
was,
Dad, Poor Dad, you had that done
yeah.
by like
And I was
fifth
like,
grade.
what the heck is real estate? Like I have no
Yeah,
idea what this all means. But I
nice.
learned a little bit from each one, right? I don't think that I wasted my time, or I don't want to believe I wasted my time. But so I told my dad, I was like, for plumbing, I want to create more of a relationship. I want more of
Mhm.
that, and it kind of sounds weird saying it, but I want more of that intimate interaction with the customer to where we're on the same page and they have a problem. I can give them the solution, and I would love to be the one to do the work for them. But it's how much of a relationship are you able to build to where they're like, okay, go ahead and do it, because there's like who is it? MG Plumbing on
Yeah,
TikTok.
yeah,
He calls it 12 pack Andy or something like that,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
because I'm sure
yeah.
12 pack Andy can come and do it cheaper, because he's not licensed or insured or all that. But
Right.
there's a lot to it. But okay, so kind of segueing out of sales, right? Because we could talk about this
Yeah.
all day. What are your plans for TikTok in the future? I know that, what was it, yesterday that you just reached 1,400 followers on there?
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, growing a little bit at a time. So yeah, the goal with TikTok, man, is obviously the whole ban thing is still kind of up in the air as far as everything that I'm reading.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just keep pushing forward, man. Like it's plumbing is going to happen. The water's still going to run through the pipes. It's
Mhm.
just a matter of do I film it or not? You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
not going to change anything necessarily in my career at all. I mean, it's definitely it's something I look forward to when I'm on a cool job. I'm like, man, I'd love to throw the camera up on this one.
Yeah.
But if they do away with it, then I'll just continue on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, which I'm trying to grow
Mhm.
as well. So
Do you have your Facebook and Instagram linked together?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, good, good, good. Yeah, because that's important. Because whenever we post something on Instagram, it'll go automatically to Facebook.
Right.
Makes that
Yeah.
easier. But then you still got to worry about YouTube, which,
Hmm.
like I said, I still need to do. I mean, I probably posted one video like a week and a half ago, maybe. And I get
Right.
followers from it, people that
Hmm.
kind of see, okay, he has a podcast. Let me go ahead and see. Because that's really what I mostly post. I don't really post like,
Right.
Roger Wakefield on YouTube?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's from Texas, right?
Yeah, he's up in
Yeah.
Dallas, up
So
north.
shout out to Roger, but his Leak Pro system that I don't know if he owns it or if he
Mhm.
just really pushes it,
They manufacture
but
and sell
that
it.
thing is legit. We have it at work. We have the two probes with the two headphones for finding slab leaks. And like in our area, most of the time when people have a slab leak, they're calling a bigger company from about 2 hours away or hour and a half away. So, because I'm kind of in the big scheme of things, kind of in the middle of nowhere, so to speak.
Right.
But just to have that little thing to find a nice little slab leak for sure. So shout out to Roger Wakefield, man, for
What
the
is it?
leak pro.
It's called Leak Pro?
Yeah,
Okay, because
he
I need to
pushes
look.
it all the time on all of his channels and stuff. And I will admit, we did not do the training for the product. We bought the product. Um, but there's lots of well, I don't want to give too much away. There's a good amount of stuff online. The training was just a little bit out of the budget. I'll just put it at that.
Do you just listen to with just the device, or is there like a setup that you have to do, like inserting air into the line to help amplify it?
So it depends on how you want to do it. You can do it that way. Like you can just find a hose bib and introduce air into the line that way. But we've also had success just literally like turning off the HVAC system in the house, getting it as quiet as possible, putting the probe down in the area where we suspect the leak, and then finding it, marking it, and then chipping some concrete up.
Awesome. Yeah, the reason why I asked is that we have it from what's that brand? General, the orange brand.
Okay, yeah, General
Yeah,
Water, or whatever it is.
something, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But we have theirs, and it's the same thing. So you have your headphones on, you have a little tool that you hold in your hand that you can turn the
Hmm.
volume on and off, and then you have like a little stick down, and
Like
then
a
you
probe. Yeah.
probe that you can take off as well.
Hmm.
And we bought it, and we were super excited. We've used it in several occasions, right? But they said that you
Right.
don't need to introduce lines or anything like that. You can just listen to it. And I would stick it in the ground, and I wouldn't hear nothing, dude. And I'll be like, dude, I don't know if I'm deaf or what, But I also didn't do the training, admittedly,
Right.
just
Yeah.
because I bought it from a plumbing supply, and then they were like, oh, well, they do every couple months or so. And then I was like, a couple months, I'll be busy. So
Yeah.
never ended up doing it.
It's
But
one of those things.
yeah,
Put it on the back burner.
but my dad definitely dude, my dad is so creative with plumbing, man. Like I try to film as much as I can, but now that we both have different vans, it's kind of harder to get him filming. And sometimes I ask him to film for me. I'm like, "Dad, can you film a little bit, of what you're doing?" Cuz he goes to the more kind of complex jobs,
Yeah.
especially if I'm in school that day and I like leave school to go to work or finishing school go to work. And he'll show me, but he actually created his own manifold to introduce air and water into it to where he can
Nice.
use that like very accurately. The other day, give me one second, I have it right here.
I hear you.
Oh, I almost caught a cramp. So the other day he found this underground. So this is shark bite. This is a flex hose,
Oh my goodness.
and they use this in the water main. And
Oh, come on.
he took videos of it, and it was very interesting. So I have it right here because I still want to do that video. But he was like, I think that day what was I doing that day? I was doing the Delta shower valve that I was doing, and
Hmm.
then he left over there. Sorry, it was kind of an emergency call, I guess. Everything was flooding, and then he was
Right.
like, I dug it up, and then he was like, look what I found. And it's just a bunch of shark bite fittings on there,
Nice.
and man, those shark bites. What are your thoughts on those shark bites? Okay, let's.
Nope.
No, okay.
We like, I mean, and I was like that before I got at my company, but my company, like, the only thing we would even consider possibly maybe using is a cap. And that's
Mhm.
only because we're capping it and coming back tomorrow to fix it properly and transition it properly.
Mhm.
Or a cap. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, that's my
I mean, that's
thinking as
it.
well. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that there's applications for it, and I know like during that freeze we had in Texas, I don't know if you heard about it a couple years ago. It was like 3
Yeah.
years ago maybe. There was a lot of we used a lot of shark bites, but just because, maybe just one exterior line was what was burst, so we go to the attic, cut it, put a cap on it real quick. Hey, we'll come
Right.
back whenever this all kind of dies down a little bit. And
Yeah.
it worked. It worked then, but it was because we were coming back. We felt comfortable. But as far as like, okay, this I don't think anyone would ever do. Or I don't know. I'm sure that obviously someone would
Oh,
do
I've
it.
seen, dude, I've seen them like as the main shut off to the house is like a 3/4 shark bite ball valve, and I'm like, this is no good.
'Cause- So whenever I do, because I told you one of the things that TikTok kind of looks at is your engagement with other videos. So I try to engage with as much plumbers as I can, but I try to put as much positivity out there as I can, because I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no point, I don't know how things are in his state, things are different, whatever.
Hmm.
And so there was one uh, maintenance guy for an apartment as well, and he had posted about a shark
Watch it
bite.
now. Hang on. No, I'm sorry.
It's the Fix It Dad old video.
Yeah.
Video resurfaced.
That was my old profile, man. Take it easy. No, I'm just kidding.
And he pretty much was like, "Oh, shark bite fitting failed and all that." And then he started cleaning up the pipe, and he got like this big toolbox out. So I thought he was about to solder. So he had put like they didn't prep the pipe correctly to put the shark bite on, and
Mhm.
then I put it like regardless of how you prepare the pipe, I don't think anyone should be using shark bites for a permanent fix. And
Right.
then, dude, I got a whole bunch of people coming and saying a bunch of things, and then they're like, "Well, if you don't like shark bite, you shouldn't use Pro Press because it's the same thing."
It's not
I
though.
was like,
It's really not. That's one of my favorite comments. Okay, a shark bite you push onto the pipe, right?
Mhm.
It's called a push to connect fitting,
Yeah,
right? Just like if you ever do like a water cooler, with the bottle filler, you've got the little push to connect with the little
that's
poly
it.
lines.
Yeah,
That's what it is. But I would like to see you. I'll give you a nice crescent wrench. That's how you normally can pull the
yeah,
the shark bites
yeah.
off.
The shark bite off.
Get a pro press fitting off with a. If you can't, I'll do a pro press giveaway to anybody that can successfully remove a pressed on Viga fitting with a crescent wrench.
Yeah,
I'll give away a pro press.
yeah.
Put
So,
that in the comments.
man, people were just defending shark bite like crazy, like if their life depended on it. Like, I don't know if shark bite has ambassadors, but they should definitely do it because there's some great people that like will
Oh yeah.
die
Yeah,
trying.
there's people that will die on that hill for sure. Yeah.
And yeah, that was my thing. I was just like, like no, it's not the same thing. And then I kind of felt bad because the guy was like, he commented once, and then I watched the video. Like I commented, I pressed send, and then like 10 seconds the video ended, and he just put a shark bite at the end. And so I
Mhm.
was like,
Yeah, it's
because my
kind of
thing is
like
like, if you're doing all of that prep, like my thinking was like, okay, he's doing some soldering, because he was,
mhm,
reaming the pipe. He was using the little sandpaper to clean it up and make it all
mhm.
nice and clean. So I was like, oh, he's about to solder it, and it turns out he just pushes it back in, and I was like, so I was kind of in that situation, but that was funny. But yeah, those fittings, as far as Pro Press goes, man, it's been I haven't had a callback yet. There was one situation where we had to do a lot of pro pressing copper,
Mhm.
and I think we forgot one, and so it didn't go through, and it was kind
Been
of
there, done that. Got the
our
T-shirt, man.
yeah, that was
We were on a job actually not too long ago, and doing a repipe on a house that was on a slab. So we were just rerouting
Mhm.
everything overhead in the attic, and got to that one of the last few presses, which was on the water heater, and we were cleaning up, sweeping everything up, and then all of a sudden I just hear, and I forgot to press one of the
It sneaks
90
up
going
on
into
you,
the
dude.
heater.
It sneaks up on you. It's
It
not like
really
an instant
does.
thing. That's what it was for us as well. Like we looked and saw that there was no leaks, and were about to close the door of the attic, and then that's when we hear.
Mhm.
And then the reason why you can tell that it wasn't pressed was because you kind of see the indentions of where the machine kind of
Right.
presses down,
Yeah.
and that's how we knew. So for anyone saying, "Oh, you're over here," talking about pro press, but you're talking about two different leaks. No, like you
Right.
can tell if you didn't press it, you know.
Yeah, that's on me. That's not. And look, they do certainly. I've had one pro press fitting that we pressed in and just immediately started leaking.
Mm,
I will say it was not Viga, it was a different company.
hmm.
But yeah, it just the fitting itself was cracked. And so it was like a inch and a quarter male.
Mm.
And so just around like right above where the O-ring was cracked. So
Oh wow.
but
Man, have you seen the gas ones? Have you used the gas?
yes, so Mega Press
Yeah.
is definitely awesome. Prevents a lot of pipe threading. And, we still have the threaders, but
Hmm.
yeah, they don't get pulled out that much thanks to Mega Press for sure.
Yeah.
But I will say, Mega Press, the prep on Mega Press, I don't see a lot about that on social media. So I may do a video on that coming up, but the prep work for pro pressing and the prep work for mega pressing very similar, but I don't see a lot of guys doing as much prep when they do mega press. So that would be possibly a good video idea.
What are you supposed to? How are you supposed to prep it?
So
Real quick.
according to what I've read, yeah, you're
Yeah.
supposed to ream and deburr like you would
Okay.
a copper
Mhm.
pipe, and use emery cloth or sandcloth and attempt to get most of the paint off, is what I've read. Just to be pressing onto a clean surface. And I see a lot of guys that literally just bandsaw, make the cut, shove the mega
Oh, okay,
press
okay, okay.
fitting on, and then go to town.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because we've used it once, and so I was like, "Was there something that we didn't do?" But no, that's what we did. We reamed the pipe, deburred and all that,
Yeah,
and try to clean it up as much as possible. Because for us, it just makes sense. It just makes sense to have a clean. It's an O ring. You want to make
right.
sure it's clean.
Yeah,
So that's interesting. No, that'd be a good video for sure.
yeah.
For sure. Do you feel like with TikTok, there's different hours that work out, or the algorithm just doesn't?
Yes. So I don't I don't post a video generally before lunch,
Okay.
like my time. Like it's all I try to post after between 4 and 5 o'clock because I
Mm.
just figure like
People
people are
are
getting
getting
off
home.
work, they might have a chance to just pop on the phone for a minute. The times that I have posted more midday have been like holidays, and so I feel like people are off work anyways, and I've seen better views on those videos.
Do you
So
post on weekends?
I do. Yeah, I try to at least get one video out. I'm kind of like and I know you've recommended a little different, but I'm I'm generally like a video every other day kind of guy,
Hmm.
unless I'm just like in the zone with content. And I have several hours of content that I just haven't pushed out.
Yeah.
But then with me, like I'll do another job, and I'm like, this is so much cooler than that footage I already have. So let me focus on this.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I have noticed that the algorithm, there's a bunch of little different things that I've picked up on, but I don't know if they're right. It's what's worked for me so far and my little mild success that I've had. So
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out Instagram. I'm still trying to figure out YouTube because
yeah,
even YouTube, like, I don't know if I'm doing it wrong, but you can only put like a certain amount of characters in the title. It's like a title,
yeah,
it's not a description, right?
correct. Yeah, at least for as far as shorts goes, I
Yeah.
haven't done any
Yeah.
long form content on YouTube, but as far as shorts, yeah, and they max them out at 60 seconds. So
Yeah. That's
and on TikTok, you want to be, to get
over a minute.
yeah over a minute. So it's
Mhm.
like yeah, for sure.
Man, that's it. Well, hopefully they improve all that because, like I said, we don't know the future of TikTok, and so I
Right.
guess I think the kind of that cutoff period, the 75 days, was like end of March, end of April, one of those.
Okay.
Because like I said, I take a content creating course at U of H
Mhm.
University, and we're actually having a competition to where if you have a page, whoever can grow it as much in the semester, they'll end
Nice.
up getting a dinner paid for by the university, and the judges, which are going to be three content creators, like pretty big ones, allegedly, and you get to have dinner with them as well. So I'm like,
Nice.
man, you better buy me steaks already. You better have the steaks ready
Yeah.
and all that. But
Right.
but yeah, she was like, I don't know if you should rely too much on TikTok because it's like if you do have a big following, you focus on that, and then it's taken away. You can't really prove anything. Kind of takes away
Right.
the whole. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's interesting and definitely we'll see what we do. But we're just like you said, it's still business as usual. I mean, we're still plumbers at the end of the day. Plumbing first, you know. The whole
Yeah.
content creating comes second, and it's tiring, dude. It's a whole part time job for me at least. I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel
And
that.
I don't even have the whole fancy setup like you do, but so I'm not super like tech savvy, so that's why for
Mhm.
the longest time I only did TikTok, is because like I felt like the editing was easy, the user interface was easy, and I stayed away from YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Then when I made the jump to Instagram, well, and I'll tell you why I did that too. So, um, I've noticed that some of the bigger companies are not as active on TikTok. Like, yeah, they might have a TikTok page, but they're not like reposting videos of
Right.
that me and you are doing with their products or putting them on their stories, commenting back on videos. They're not doing that as much as they are on Instagram.
Hmm.
So, like, one of my first Instagram videos that I did featuring a Milwaukee tool, like, they immediately commented on it and were like, hey, this is great. Can we use it on our
Um,
page? You know what I mean? Same thing with like Spartan Tool. Till I got this hat and a few other goodies. Like I start posting on Instagram with Spartan Tool, and they all of a sudden want to send me a goodie box. You know what I mean? So
oh, okay,
TikTok,
okay.
I haven't. I've gotten that from one company that makes sewer cameras, and it was just kind of like a, hey, we'll kind of like push your videos, but not
Mm.
really giving me anything in return. So I was just like, I
Uh,
don't already use your product, so I'm not gonna. If you want to send me something of yours, I'll use it for 6 months, try it out, and then make a video if I like
right.
it. But that's kind of the only thing that I would be, interested. Wouldn't want to kind of push anything just for the sake of pushing it. So,
I see.
and I
Yeah.
know that's kind of a big thing. I don't know if you follow Boston Plumbing Monster or any of. I'm sure some of the bigger guys that you know, but the guy, you know who I'm talking about. He's
Mhm.
got an apprentice named Nemo.
Yes.
He's up
Yes.
from
Okay.
Boston.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's real big on this like create your own brand.
Hmm.
He thinks it's great that yeah, there's social media plumbing influencers if you want to call us that or whatever. But he's like at the end of the day, like I'm not going to bow down to a brand or anything, which I totally respect.
Right.
But he's actually doing some cool stuff now to where like if a company reaches out to him, like I know he's working on something with Klein Tool, they're
Right.
like, hey, we know you might not use the tools, but one of your users, he's
Hmm.
going to do a giveaway and give it away to one of his users. So
Mm.
that may be a good goal for you, man. If you want to, do those big giveaways and kind of give back to new guys and you know, that'd be a great option for in the future for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, it's just it helps out everyone. You as a creator, and the people that are engaging with you. It's a whole. I love it. The brand gets kind of recognized. We learned a lot about that at college as well. Because a lot of it, I'm taking a business consulting class as well. So learning about how in the modern age you can consult with other businesses, and pretty boring class. Not gonna lie to you, but you learn some interesting things. Like, these brands sometimes they don't create content because they want others to do it for them. Others that are more creative, they don't have to spend the money to do that because they already have these people doing it for them, which is pretty smart when you think about it. Because it's this whole thing that they have to do. They would have to create a whole department for influencers, a whole thing. But regardless, dude, did you see that Milwaukee has a podcast as well?
No, I didn't know they had a podcast.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they have a podcast as well, and they have like the Milwaukee in the back, and they have all the tools in the background. And
Nice.
I'll see if that's for sure. But I think I've seen it on my TikTok a couple of times from the Milwaukee page. Uh, Milwaukee's been great for me. Like I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but that's why I recommend it a lot, just because it's been a great brand for me, and I'm definitely a Milwaukee guy. Um, and yeah, dude. Hopefully, hopefully, no, no. One day I'm gonna get sponsored by Milwaukee.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah, you got to speak it, man.
Gotta speak it. Yeah, you told me that yesterday. I've been
Yeah.
reflecting on that as well. But yeah, man. So wait, one final thing that I wanted to ask you: the fix it, dad. Okay, so being a father, would you want your son to be a plumber, or would you want him to do?
Okay. So,
There we go. It did this last time. Keep going.
okay,
Yeah, we're good.
we're good.
Yeah.
All right. So that is actually a really good question. So I think it would be awesome if he got into plumbing, but that's kind of like part of the reason that I'm kind of doing this too is just yes, it's something that I want to do, but it does open up an opportunity for my kid, my son now and any future children that I have. If they do want to go into plumbing, if I decide to open up my own business one day, it's just like, hey man, you want to ride to work with dad today? Which is kind of what I feel like you maybe
Yeah,
had. I don't know, but maybe sometimes you didn't like that as much where it wasn't like, hey, do you want to? It was like, hey, Saturday, grab a
we're
shovel,
going.
go dig this trench. So I kind of, but at the same time, like maybe looking back on it now, you're probably thankful for your
Mhm,
dad maybe
mhm.
doing that. I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like I probably would be. I'm thankful for some of the stuff that my dad did for me. So it's
Mhm.
like just that opportunity to where if he does want to get into it, it's like, sure, come on. If he doesn't, then,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, with my dad, whenever growing up, so I wouldn't talk to my dad in the beginning of like when I was younger. I was a really shy kid to where my mom would call me in Spanish was called pollo, which is chicken,
Okay. Yeah.
because I would always be around her legs like a chicken. And the way that my dad wanted to bond with me, because I lived with my mom and dad. They were both in my life growing up, and my dad was like, "Man, Byron, he won't talk to me and all these things." And he was like, "How can I get him to talk to me?" And my mom was like, "Just take him to Home Depot or something." And we would go to Home Depot, and I would start crying like as soon as we like left the driveway. So I want to go back with my mom. I was definitely a mommy's boy,
Yeah.
but he would just take me either way. He was like, "We're going. Nope. I'll buy you a candy, whatever." And
Mhm.
I was like, "All right, sure, I'll take a candy." I was a little kid, and
Yeah.
definitely that sparked my interest in plumbing, going through those different ways. And I'm very grateful for it because I realized the beauty of the trade. I realized how to talk to customers and stuff like that. I was young, and I probably wouldn't take my son that young, if he didn't want
Right.
to. But
Yeah.
definitely, I'm very appreciative of all of that he's done. So looking forward to the future. Maybe the Fix It son. We get we get to see
There
it
you go.
going.
Yeah. That would be awesome, man.
Yeah, but I guess we'll go ahead and get it going now that I'm having technical difficulties on my end. But
All
uh,
right.
but yeah, man, I appreciate all the time that you've taken. We're about an hour and 8 minutes in, so it's been a very solid amount of time. And if you've enjoyed it, man, I would love to have you in the future. We'll see if we circle back around. The Fix It Dad, I'll leave your comment and all that down below. And if you have any last remarks, you can leave them down. If anything else or nothing, we're good. We should be good to go, man.
All right, I got three pieces of advice to all your apprentices, and we'll close out with this. You may have heard this, you might not have, but remember the crap only runs downhill. Don't chew your fingernails, and payday's on Friday. Fix it, Dad. Back again.
There we go. Peace.